I'm Heinbach. It's good to have you back. What I've sitting in front of me might be the answer to one of the questions I get asked the most. Which synthesizer can I recommend to anyone starting out? And by the sheer musicality of it, the Eowave Quadrantid Swarm might be the answer. This was sent to me by the French manufacturer Eowave. I first came across the Swarm at Superbooth 2018 when they had just kickstarted it, but now it's available in stores everywhere. And what immediately attracted me to it is that this has a spring reverb. Quite surprisingly, the spring reverb is not that noisy. Usually built-in spring reverbs, be it in a modular or any synthesizer, tend to pick up a lot of noise, especially if there's digital circuitry and LEDs around. But this one is not that bad at all. Now, when I say this is a synthesizer suited for beginners, I have to qualify that a bit, because this is not at all that easy, and it's not something you will learn synthesis on, but it is a very musical tool. At its heart, the Quadrantid Swarm is a digital synthesizer with analog filters. You get 8 engines that create the sound, and you can filter them with 2 analog filters, which are rather smooth. They are 12 decibels, and the first one can be switched from high to low pass, and the second one is just a low pass, and they're set in series. So first this and then the other. And the general sound of these oscillators is kind of digital, but unabashedly so. There are some alias noises, but I kind of like them. And the filters enable you to add all kinds of shaping and warmth to that, as does the spring reverb. Before I go into more functions, I just want to show you musical examples of all the different engines. These examples hopefully made it clear why I think this is a perfect synthesizer for a musician starting out, because you get so many musical results easily and it has such a rich bandwidth. It is very playful at that, and I feel myself being able to do complex scoring scenes with just this and the few controls that are here. Now, because the synthesizer is also a bit difficult to wrap your head around, because basically the whole way this is set up is different from other synthesizers, let's have a quick look at the functions. To set the mode of the oscillators, you have to press Shift, and then you can assign which one you want. I'm going to take the string one, which is basically 8 saw wave oscillators. And this keyboard, you tune every note. It's quantized, so you don't have to bother with a lot of tuning. And for the brain, it might also be nice to just switch them up, so it's not like from lowest to highest, but the other way around, or you mix it up, and that already is such a nice way to get more inspiration out of this instrument. The first way that we can shape the sound is with the attack and release section. Since we are playing this, I'm going to choose attack and release and not attack and decay mode here. So let's give this a soft attack. This envelope is also always routed to the input on filter 1. So if I up the modulation here and set the resonance high, and I've set it to high pass now, we get this lovely ringing resonance. Let's try that in low pass mode. And if we have one filter in high pass and one in low pass, we get a band pass filter. And if we make the resonance really high, we get lovely ringing tones. And then we can modulate the frequency of this filter using the modulation section here with different shapes and a slew and speed. But it's pre-routed to this modulation knob. It is just lovely how these filters sound and are able to shape the signal. So from the oscillators into the filters, into the VCA, the voltage controlled amplifier, and then through the spring reverb. And we can set the input of the reverb here, and here we can set the level. And it's also possible to modulate the reverb intensity. Also modulate the intensity of the reverb. And if nothing is plugged in here, this will act as the feedback control for the spring reverb. When playing with feedback, you have to be careful not to overdrive everything. These are the basic processing functions, but we can shape the sound of the oscillators themselves using these settings. This knob controls the master pitch of the oscillators. And this controls the frequency modulation. So you can, for example, add the LFO in here or use an external sequencer. Or give it some tape-like instability. This is where I wish I had a bit more range and a bigger knob to control this, because there is more to be had in the finer values when you use modulation on oscillators, I feel. But that's kind of the thing. Like, these things are smaller, they make the whole interface smaller and of course cheaper. And for the filters you still get these very nice knobs. So yeah, I'll never be happy with these, but to make the whole package more compact, I can understand that they have their place. Here are three of the most important sonic characteristics for the oscillator: the spread, the character, and the perk. Perk is a little percussive impulse that you get at the start of the signal, and you can mix the volume here. Here, less is definitely more, so I'm going to reduce the perk setting. This way you can emulate that organ click, or you can use this as an extra thing for percussive voices. Character defines the sound of the oscillators. Oftentimes it means it goes more intense. Again, you have to watch your levels with this. It can go much louder than if there's no character present, which is kind of the point of character. You get louder. So next parameter, spread, is not active because we are in polyphonic mode. To shift back to mono mode, you have to press shift and poly. And now we are in monophonic mode. Mono mode means unisono of all the 8 oscillators on one note. They come at the same time. And now I can adjust the spread of these oscillators. This is an easy way to get trance leads or unintelligible drones. And for that, switch to drone mode and try it there. this can sound very much like Neue Musik, because you get these spectra of overtones, which is a bit also like the harmonic mode in Fundamental, the plugin that I developed together with Sonic Lab. The spread is also modulable externally. So let's take the slew out maybe again and set this to sequence. Let's see what happens. Now it's taken the modulation that would be present if this was a sequence here, and this way you can get melodic modulations that play this and shift them and transpose them. This will sound very different in other modes, for example, Metalik. As you've noticed, I've already played it all the time with this keyboard, but it has of course a MIDI in, and it can send a clock out and can receive a clock. And also it has a reset, which is very important, because this is also a sequencer. It is very rudimentary, only 8 steps, no way to glide between notes or hold, but it does its job. And for all the more complex options, you can of course use an external sequencer. There are some things with this one that I don't like, and that is, these knobs. I don't really care for them, but I accept that this makes it much more portable and cheaper to produce. Then it is a little noisy, both in the sound creation and of course the spring reverb, but I'm kind of okay with that. I know some people will be bothered by that. So if you are looking for something whisper quiet, this is not the synthesizer for you. I'm not really fond of the way Eowave decided to handle the polyphonic mode in regards to the envelope. The idea is that this is an organ, so you have got a fixed release time, meaning almost no release time. So while I can change the attack, release does absolutely nothing. Why? My biggest gripe with the Swarm is that this is not a synthesizer I would feel comfortable tossing my backpack and carrying around with me. This is kind of a shame, because this is such a portable synthesizer, and if you have got a 15-volt power supply such as the one that Ripcord makes, you could carry this around easily. But without the case, I don't think that's a good idea, because while the faceplate is aluminum, the rest around here, like the sides, this is plastic, and I think this might be, I think this is some kind of plastic too, or is it metal? Not a good judge of that. I think it's PVC also. And in fact, like, one of the side plates broke in transit, so now I have this bragging right specially made side plate, which is pretty lovely, but still, just to toss this in a backpack, it's not too sturdy for that. But what you can do is put this in a Euro case, and this is exactly what I'm just about to do. And that's it. The spring reverb is just glued in there, so you can't just put a screwdriver under there and take it away from that. And luckily it fit in perfectly in this Clank modular case. I could just put it in the corner there, and it fits and it holds. So let's see how it sounds. Playing it through the Eowave Metalik resonator is a thing of true beauty, but more on that in another video. So, all in all, I think the Eowave Quadrantid Swarm is, with its few flaws, a great synthesizer and something that you can easily pick up and get inspired by. There's a true world of sound with it, and it's suited for all kinds of music. Even if you have a lot of synthesizers, this little thing can become something, yeah, that will fit its way in. I will be putting up music from this episode on the Patreon. And if you have any questions, do leave them in the comments below or visit the subreddit. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.